All right, welcome. Go ahead and start like we have been lately with your legs out in Dandasana. Somehow my screen is not straight, so it looked like I was at a 45-degree angle, so gotta fix that. Or maybe it's my mat. All right. There's this line from the Confucian Analects that says that Confucius or the master would not sit until his mat was straight. So this is, for some reason, for me, adding a weird element to that I don't look straight. But now I'm straight-ish. Okay. All right, so sit up straight and tall. Press your big toes together and spread your other toes wide apart. And that push of the big toes together should let your inner thighs lift up. And the movement of the toes away from the big toes should help you get more opening in, or not more opening, but more firmness in the outer legs. Wow, I don't know what is going on, sorry. Okay, I look straight-ish. And that firmness in the outer legs, you should feel the outer hip muscles draw in, and that begins to help you release the groins down toward the floor, one thing. The other thing that the firmness of the outer hips does is it helps you lengthen up through the side ribs. Make yourself as tall as you can from the pelvis, through the waist, through each individual rib, all the way up into the armpits. You can start to make yourself tall. Keep that height in the side ribs as you roll your shoulder bones back. Bring your shoulder blades together on your back, away from the neck and into the center of the body and up a little bit. So you really feel the chest lift, but also broaden out to the sides. And this pose is staff pose or Dandasana. So in staff pose, the staff, normally I think of it as referring to the spine, but it's also true that the arms act as a staff to help the spine lift upward. And keeping your chest well lifted and broad, press down through your fingers and up into the armpits. So really, if you think about it, we're actually kind of beginning the backward bending work here. The legs are basically doing work of a back bend, as is the spine, and as are the shoulder blades. We've just got a little bit of forward bend here in the hips to start out with here. All right. And take your right hand on the inside of the right knee and move your knee off to the side a little bit. Take your thumb and put your thumb on the big toe base joint and turn it up. And then lately we've been working on moving the thumb between the space between the big toe base joint and the base joint of the other toes. Another thing I've added lately is to work your fingers where they go a little bit more underneath the top of the foot. And then when you turn that foot from that way, you get really more onto the virasana top part of the foot, which is very helpful. All right, and then do the same thing with the other leg. And turn from the big toe base joint like we've normally done for years and years. And then add this additional element, move your thumb to the divot or the place between the big toe base joint and the other big toes. And then also walk your fingers more onto the top of the foot. And then when you turn with that hand position, you get that more full feeling of turn in the feet. And what I noticed when I did that today is that automatically just that more turn, a little bit more turn of the foot actually let my groin release down a little bit more. Move your calf flesh so it goes up toward the ceiling. Squeeze your hands against your thighs and then externally rotate the thighs. So the external rotation is not so much backward bend related. Backward bends really, by and large, until you get to some of the more complicated ones where one leg might be externally rotated, are more about internal rotation of the legs. Okay? But still, the open groin that we get from this work is going to help with the back bends. Then lengthen up through your side ribs again. Roll your shoulder bones back. Bring your shoulder blades together on your back, away from the neck and into the center of the body and up a little bit. And so you feel that chest lift and also broaden. Then join your palms together at your heart. But to be a little bit more specific about that, you actually want your thumb on your sternum and your forearms down on the lower part of your rib cage. And that way, when you lift up, you're actually pushing in a little bit and also up, and that movement of the arm helps the trapezius muscles release and helps the thoracic spine go in. And what I feel when the trapezius muscle releases away, it just begins to calm my brain. I can almost feel like almost automatically that my eyes want to close and begin that inward journey. As you inhale, take your awareness to the tailbone and inhale all the way up from the tailbone, all the way up to the crown of the head. Maintain that height, and then as you exhale, move the prana or the energy of the breath outward toward your side ribs and armpits. Inhale, make yourself tall. Keep that height. Exhale, make yourself broad. Inhale, extend yourself. Exhale, expand yourself. Just use the breath to create an additional sense of inner spaciousness. And let that spaciousness act as a magnet for the mind to begin to draw from the outer world to the inner world, the inner landscape of you, the domain of yoga. Excuse me. Use your inhalations to take your exhalations to take your awareness there. And from that inner space, let's chant 3 Oms together. Follow that sound with your mind. Follow the reverberation of the sound with your mind. And from that space, inhale once more. Keeping your chest well lifted and broad, bring your chin down to your chest and your hands down to your thighs with your palms up. And then raise your head and open your eyes. All right, so start off in Urdhva Hastasana and just take stock of how easy or hard it is to reach your arms up. I'm actually doing much better at this today than I was yesterday morning. Yesterday morning, when I reached my arms all the way up, there was a real stiff feeling in the back of my thoracic spine. And we did a lot of shoulder work in my Castle Hill class. And so there's a residual feeling that it's actually a feeling of improvement, that something stuck from the practice yesterday. But you just observe where your arms are today. And then we're going to work like we normally, well, not like we normally have, but we begin to work in this different way of working with the arms. So you're going to stretch your arms out like you were doing a standing pose. Sorry, I don't know what is going on with my screen. All right, and then let your trapezius muscles release down, and just that movement of the trapezius muscles down should help your thoracic spine begin to move in. And then lengthen through your ring fingers, and also put your thumb right by your other fingers and try and lengthen it out as well. Then move your shoulder blades in, and then move your arms back behind you. And when you move the arms back behind you, that should help you feel your shoulder blades come in a little bit more. And you should also feel the collarbones correspondingly get significantly broader. And all that's also, Karen, that's all good for the neck. Okay. All right, and do that 2 more times. Let the trapezius muscle release. Extend through your ring fingers and also extend through your thumbs. And then move your arms back behind you. Try not to poke your rib cage forward, so you may need to draw your abdomen in a little bit toward the spine to keep that from happening. Observe the effect on the shoulder blades and the collarbones. And then 1 more time, trapezius muscles release away. Extend through the ring fingers and the thumb, and then move your arms way, way, way back behind you. Turn your palms all the way up now and really feel how that rotates the shoulder bone in the socket and how your trapezius muscles release. And now reach your arms up after having done that. Yeah. And now it should be a little bit easier already to get the arms to lift up. And since we are going to work towards some back bends today, go ahead and turn your palms forward and flex your hands like you were going to put that hand position that you would use for Urdhva Dhanurasana. You want to do all of that good work here. Sorry, I'm just trying to fix things a little bit. I don't know why it's so off today. And then bring your arms down and then stretch your legs out in front of you. And we'll do the same thing with the opposite leg cross. Okay, first start off with Dandasana. And the Dandasana work is really like the work of the legs as well, the legs of the backward bending poses. Okay, so spread your toes together, the big toes, but move your other toes away from the big toes. Observe how those two movements of the feet help your legs muscles engage. It looks straight right now. Okay, so what's not straight? Then take your hand, bring your other leg in first. Back into Swastikasana. Better. Okay. And turn the foot with your hand. So put the thumb on the big toe base joint and turn. Put the thumb in the divot between the big toe base joint and the other base joint and turn. And you feel that full turn of the foot. So it really comes on to that top part of the foot, the part of the foot that we sit on when we're in Virasana. We'll actually do Virasana in a second. And then bring your feet, both of them in, turn the soles of the feet, turn the calves, and turn the thighs. Okay, this is a little better. It was driving me absolutely crazy. I'm sorry, it just was this major vritti that it looked to me like I was at this 45-degree angle on the screen, but my legs were straight. So I was stuck in this feeling of disorientation in space. All right, but I got it a little better figured out now. All right, so let's just take stock again. Reach your arms up. This is the third Urdhva Hastasana, so it should be a little bit better. Press the feet down and reach your arms up on their own. And then add the new arm work. So bring your arms out like you were doing a standing pose. Okay. Extend, let the trapezius muscle release first. Extend through your ring finger, but also really extend through the thumb. Okay. So you can let that thumb just reside right along the other fingers and really extend it out, almost like you're pushing the thumb into the other fingers. Then move your arms back behind you and feel how the collarbone broadens and the shoulder blades draw in a little bit more. 2 more times, let the trapezius muscle release down, extend through the ring fingers and the thumbs and move your arms back behind you. Trapezius down, extend through the ring fingers and the thumbs, and then move your arms back behind you. Turn your arms up, and as you turn that, let it be a work of the whole arm, that it's really coming right from the shoulder bone itself. And the rest of the arm really just follows along. It turns because the shoulder bone is turning. And that action, you should feel that the thoracic spine moves in. And that's a big part of back bends, right? Then from there, lift your arms all the way up. Reach up, and it should be easier. And turn your palms forward. Spread your palms out now, because that's what we do for a back bend. And then reach your hands way back behind you, fingers back behind you. And then move your arms back behind you a little bit more as well. And then stretch your arms out again and bring your hands down. All right, stretch your legs out into Dandasana. Be as straight as you can. Almost got it now. All right, then go ahead and come into Virasana. If you need a brick to sit on, go ahead and sit up on a brick. I need a brick, and right now, usually my first Virasana or so, I actually like to have a little bit of blanket as well. Okay, so it's easier to sit. So Virasana is a little bit more a leg action of backward bending. Right? So if you actually draw a line on your legs, this is actually also true in Dandasana. From the line on your thigh, it should turn in. Okay? So you can go ahead and do that. But you don't want to turn in so much that your inner knees go down to the floor. Okay? So you want to actually have a kind of levelness across the knee region. And so to get that, you sometimes actually have to externally rotate the outer legs. Now extend back through your feet. Move your outer ankles in. Move your outer calves in, and those actions of the lower legs should result in you feeling a lift coming all the way up into the chest. Roll the shoulder bones back. Shoulder blades in, away from the neck, and into the center of the body and up a little bit. And now we're going to add Urdhva Badangalyasana or Parvatasana, but I want to show you a new tiny little thing that I also learned in this another David Maloney class. He actually taught back bends last week. So when we interlace our fingers, see how my thumbs are together? Well, you can actually push your thumbs in such a way that you actually get more of the rotation, external rotation of the upper arm. So when you bring your arms all the way up above your head, when you're like this, I know you're not really going to see what my thumbs are doing, but if I push from this part of my thumb, okay, to this part of my thumb, okay, so from the outer thumb when it's up to the inner thumb, if I push those against each other, what happens is that I feel more rotation come in this arm, all right? So don't just push your thumbs together, but actually push your thumbs and extend your thumbs in such a way that you're really moving from the inner thumb to the outer thumb. But in that action of the thumbs, what you get is more of the rotation of your arms that you need for backward bending, okay? All right, so just, I know it's hard to see and it's hard to, but see if you can just sort that out yourself, all right? You'll still do that, and we're still in Virasana, Parvatasana, and Virasana, okay? With the little new thumb action of Urdhva-Gulyasana. I guess if I had to say what I'm really getting the most of out of this studying with this particular teacher is how important just the work of the thumb is in releasing the chronic tension in the hands, the arms, the shoulders, and the chest. Right? And then bring your arms down. Switch the interlace of your fingers. Turn your palms out first. Okay? Make your thumbs work in such a way that the muscles of the tricep muscles are going down toward the floor. And then when you reach your arms up above your head, the tendency is for the arms to turn away from the head. But use your thumbs in such a way that you can actually feel the muscles coming from the outside in. All right. Good. Now reach your arms out at the sides. Move your arms back. And then interlace your fingers behind you. Okay. Pull your fingers back toward the wall behind you and try and, like we did with the movement of the last week, with the movement of the hands, like you're trying to pull away. Do that here at the beginning of class also. Okay. So try and pull your fingers away from each other. Don't actually do it, but energetically do it. And you'll feel your shoulder blades come more and more onto your back. All right, then switch your hands. Pull your fingers away from each other, but also move your arms way, way, way back behind you. And as you do that, you'll feel your shoulder blades come in, your collarbones broaden, and you'll really feel, hopefully, that the movement of the chest is separating from the movement of the arms. Oh, that feels good already. All right, and then go ahead and come on to all fours for downward facing dog. We're getting ready for downward facing dog. So I know what's going on. Turn your palms, or press your palms. Turn your triceps, turn your toes under, and then push back into downward facing dog. Keep pressing your hands down and forward. As you move the weight of the pose back into your legs. Keep moving your hands down and forward as you move the weight of the pose back into the legs. And come up onto the balls of the feet. Come up onto the balls of the feet so high that it really looks like your legs or your feet are actually doing Chaturanga Dandasana. That's another little David Maloney thing that I've learned. When that happens, and there's kind of, actually now that I think about it, there's kind of a relationship in that flexibility of the big toe with the flexibility of the thumb. And the more you can get that big toe to press down, the more you'll feel that your quadriceps and your inner thighs draw in. You see how your arch gets nicely defined. Keep your ankles level and then roll over the balls of the feet and reach your heels way, way, way back behind you. And as you reach your heels way, way, way back, also extend from the armpit back through the legs.
So you feel all that nice opening in the thoracic spine that we worked on in the seated poses. All right, then since we have the feet for Chaturanga Dandasana, go ahead and come up into the feet for Chaturanga Dandasana again, so they're all ready. Then, keeping your feet in Chaturanga Dandasana, come all the way into plank pose. Look forward so your thoracic spine stays in. And then just bend your elbows and try and lower yourself down onto the floor. So you're kind of hovering for plank for Chaturanga, and then go ahead and lay down on the floor. Press your hands down into the floor, roll your shoulders back, look forward, bring your shoulder blades in, draw your abdomen in, make your legs strong, and see if you can just push up and hover a little bit. And then rest and come down onto the floor again. And then sit in Virasana again. Well, actually, I'm sitting in Vajrasana. I'm trying to figure out still what's going on with my video. All right, let's do that one more time. That actually felt really good for me. Okay, I think all the work of the arms really worked well and gave me a really nice, easy Chaturanga Dandasana. All right, so spread your palms, press through the thumb of the first finger, and actually even here, see if you can actually roll more of the mound of your thumb onto the floor, like we're trying to do in Parvatasana. Turn your triceps, look forward so that thoracic spine comes in. Make sure your thumb and your first finger are pressing down, and then push back into downward facing dog. Really push through the palms and lengthen back through the side ribs. Pull the weight back into the legs. I'm feeling like I can get a little bit longer now, so I'm pulling my legs way, way, way back. I even walked them back a little bit more. Now, when you come onto the balls of the feet, like you had Chaturanga feet, try not to move the weight of your torso into your shoulders. Okay? So you want to keep the spine long. And really press through the balls of the big toes here too. Keep pushing through the thumbs. Come all the way into plank pose, and notice your legs are already ready, okay, to go into Chaturanga Dandasana. Look forward, keep your triceps turned like we did in the seated positions. Draw your abdomen in toward your spine, and then see if you can come down and hover in Chaturanga, and then lower yourself down to the floor, but keep your legs engaged. Move your buttocks toward your heels. Look forward, draw your abdomen in. And then you're really just ready to push into Chaturanga Dandasana, push down and lift up and hover a little bit. And then let yourself lower down onto the floor. Let your thighs release. And then you can just let your head rest down on the floor. And then let your arms just be at your side. I'm going to change the position of this a little bit so you can have a little bit better close-up view. We're going to do some of the belly down back bends. You know, Chaturanga, it's kind of interesting in Chaturanga Dandasana that it's there with the belly down back bend. So we don't really think of, I don't always think of Chaturanga Dandasana as being part of a backward bending situation, but it really is, because it's got every single backward bending action you could kind of think about. Oops, yeah, I'm wearing black. So let's try it one more time and thinking about it in terms of a back bend. I'm just putting this blanket down so you can see. All right. So now you can see me independently of the mat. Okay, so when you bring your fingertips and let's start at the base. So turn your toes under like you were doing Chaturanga Dandasana, because you are. Okay. And then turn your thighs in and move your buttocks toward your heels. That's the action of the legs in pretty much every single back bend. All right. Now bring your fingertips where they're in line underneath your shoulders. Push down through the thumb side of the hand and roll your shoulders back. Shoulder blades in, away from the neck, and into the center of the body and up a little bit. And just draw your abdomen in toward the spine. Push down with your hands and lift up and hover.
So everything is really nice and straight and backward bended. And then lower yourself down again. So to come up into a pose like Bhujangasana, all you really need to do is think about Bhujangasana as being an extension of Cobra pose, all right? The only difference really is that the feet are flat on the floor. So hopefully now you can see my feet because I've jumped forward. So this is Chaturanga, where you've got your leg action going. This is Bhujangasana, but you should really work your legs in exactly the same way. Okay? It's easier to get the leg engaged in Chaturanga, so go ahead and turn your toes under. Okay? Get that strong leg action, and then see, can you keep that strong leg action as you come onto the tops of the feet? Your buttocks are still moving toward your heels. Bring your fingertips underneath your shoulders and back a little bit. And then you're just gonna pull your fingers down and forward, and rather than pushing up, you actually just arch your back upward. But really, the shoulder blades, the shoulder bones, everything is really still doing Chaturanga. You're just making the spine longer and longer and longer. And then come down and rest. Turn your head to one side. And then we'll do that again, all right? So think of Chaturanga Dandasana as being the preparation that we just extend as we do Bhujangasana, okay? And so I really like that leg approach, so we'll do it again. So start off with your legs in Chaturanga Dandasana. So that means your toes are really turned under, right? And your thighs will be off the floor. And the more you press through those big toes, the more you'll feel the muscles of your legs engage. Now, when you change your foot position, try not to lose this good action of the leg that you got. Okay? There's actually a version of Chaturanga, if you look in Light and Yoga, where he pushes up and comes onto the fronts of the feet. So you can keep your legs that engaged and be on the tops of the feet. Okay? Look forward, like you're gonna push up into Chaturanga Dandasana, but instead push your hands down and forward and begin to coil the back upward. Take that thoracic spine in. Keep pushing your hands down and forward. Keep looking up. And just make your spine longer and longer and longer. And then release and come down. Place your hands on the floor. And then push back into downward facing dog. And notice how this downward facing dog may feel a little different than the downward facing dog that you did before. All right, we're gonna do a pose now. Well, we're actually gonna do a version of downward facing dog that we did last week. And then we're gonna go back on the floor and do a pose called Nakrasana. So remember the downward facing dog that we did last week, where we had our palms together and you had this whole part of your arm on the floor, okay? And you're then gonna push back into downward facing dog. We're gonna do that, okay? And then we're gonna interlace the palms while we're up there and do that with both interlaces. Then what we're gonna do is come into Nakrasana with that same arm work. Okay, so those are the two things that we're gonna do. All right, so go ahead and kneel down on your mat. Instead of putting your palms on the floor, you're gonna have your elbows about shoulder width apart like you do for headstand. Pull forward or push forward so you really feel that whole forearm pressing into the floor. Join your palms together. And remember how we were lining up the thumbs with the other fingers when we were in the wide apart arm position. So do that here. Then turn your toes under and come back into a version of downward facing dog with your arms bent. Now keep extending from the elbows through the ring fingers. You can stay up on your Chaturanga feet because that'll help your legs engage. And then just sneak your hands into headstand position. Keep pressing those forearms and the wrists down. Notice which finger is on top.
bring your fingers back to the elbow downward facing dog, and then switch the grip of your headstand position. So on this side, I personally lose a lot of the connection of my left wrist. So I notice that and I have to say, okay, I'm gonna push a little bit more through my left wrist. And then come down and rest on the floor. So when we go into Nakrasana, you're gonna bring your fingertips in headstand position underneath your feet. Turn your toes under, activate your legs, and then this one, your legs actually lift off the floor, and then extend from your armpits through your elbows, and you'll feel your thoracic spine move in even more. Then come down, notice the finger interlace, switch your fingers, make sure your legs are engaged, move your buttocks toward your heels, and come all the way up into Nakrasana. Extend from the armpits through the elbows. And come down, place your hands on the floor, and then push yourself back into downward facing dog again. And what I'm noticing in this downward facing dog, having done the previous elbow dog, and also having done Nakrasana, is I feel a lot more openness and length in the armpits. I really feel that my thoracic spine is moving in. And when I really pull those thighs back, my thoracic opens even more. Move your rib cage toward your thighs and just let your head hang. A very nice feeling for the neck. All right, and then walk forward till your feet are right underneath your hips. Place your hands on your pelvic bones. Roll your shoulder bones back and come all the way up. And then just observe the effect of those belly down back bends as you're standing here in Tadasana. I feel a lot of vitality across the collarbones, a lot of openness in the chest. Now stretch through your ring fingers and do that same work of joining the thumbs with the other fingers. All right. So we're going to work a little bit more with the bent arm position. Okay. So what you're going to do this time is I'm going to turn around so hopefully you can see my palms. You see how my palms are together behind my back? Okay. And I turn my triceps from the outside in. I'm going to move my arms back, keep turning the tricep from the outside in, and then reach your arms up into Urdhva Namaskarasana. Okay, here's another new little thing from David Maloney. You know how normally we bring the arm up into just Gomukhasana? I'm going to turn around so you can see the difference with my fingers. Okay. Normally when we bring the arm up, see how my fingers are more in the center near my spine? But instead what I want you to do is actually walk your fingers to the outside of the shoulder blade. Okay? When you walk your fingers to the outside of the shoulder blade, you should feel the front of your arm turn from the outside in, and that's a backward bending action, okay? So the fingers, does that make sense to everyone? The fingers are on the outside, okay? So let's try that, and you're gonna walk your fingers slowly down, right? All right, so reach your arm up, turn your tricep from the outside in, okay? Keep turning the tricep from the outside in, and you can see when I bend my arm that the elbow went away from the head. I don't want that to happen, so I'm gonna try to move my fingers toward the outer shoulder blade. And when you move the fingers toward the, I know my video just went out, sorry. All right, when you turn the fingers toward the outer shoulder blade, what happens is the tricep turns from the outside in. All right, okay, that's better. Then can you walk your fingers down a little bit more? And can you walk your fingers down a little bit more? And each time you keep turning your fingers down a little bit more, you should feel that that arm comes a little bit closer to your head. right? I'm really being video impaired today. I apologize. And bring your arm down. And do you feel a difference in that shoulder that you just did, okay, as opposed to the one that you haven't done yet? So on this side, okay, I actually feel the collarbone's broader. I feel the shoulder blades moved in, and I have a little bit more feeling of fullness in this top part of my chest. Makes me want to do the other side. Okay. All right, so you're going to reach your arm up into Urdhva Hastasana, turn your tricep from the outside in, bend your arm, and just notice when you bend the arm that the fingers tend to go more toward the spine. Okay? But when the fingers are toward the spine, there's kind of a movement outward of the elbow away from the head. So if you just fix that and move the fingers to the outer shoulder blade, automatically what happens is your tricep turns in and your elbow moves in toward your head, right? And then wiggle your fingers down a little bit more so you get more opening in the armpits, and do that one more time. Wiggle your fingers down a little bit more and make sure your tricep is still turning from the outside in. And then reach your arm back up, and then just be in Tadasana and observe how nice just that new and improved upper arm of Gomukhasana feels. So having done that, I really am feeling, I'm working my legs, but I'm feeling now that the whole shoulder blade, particularly I'm feeling the top part of my shoulder blade near my armpit has moved in, and my chest is really open. Now let's try it with both hands at the same time. But I want you to go really slowly so you can really observe what's happening with the arms, okay? All right, so reach your arms up into Urdhva Hastasana. Now, when you bend your arms, the tendency is that your fingers are probably going to be closer to your spine and your elbows are going to be out a little bit. So before you start walking down your back, walk your fingers outward toward the outer upper shoulder blade. Now, when you do that, when I did that, I actually did feel my arms move in, but I also felt that that action took my thoracic spine in. Now, just a little bit, very slowly, walk your fingertips down your spine. And if you feel your arms starting to move away, stop, back off away from the head, back off a little bit, and try again. Walk your fingers out toward the outer shoulder blades, and then walk down a little bit. Check in at your arms. Make sure your fingers are still walking back. Check back in, wiggle your fingers down, turn your triceps from the outside in. Okay. Now keep your elbows where they are, sneak your palms into Namaskarasana or Namaskarasana, and try Urdhva Namaskarasana again. And feel the opening and the better stretch in Urdhva Namaskarasana. And then bring your palms all the way down and stand in Tadasana again. Feel that nice residual backward bending effect in your chest. Okay, so we've done the belly down back bends that have your hands in front of your body, right? We've done Chaturanga, we've done Bhujangasana, we've done Namaskar, we've done Nakrasana. The only one that with the hands in front of the body we haven't done yet is Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, okay? So we're gonna come back down onto the floor. If you need to use bricks to come up into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, you're welcome to. I'm gonna put a little bit of blanket down on my mat so you can see me a little bit better. I don't wanna put my blankets down, blocks on my blanket though, okay? So my blocks are gonna be on the sticky mat because I like to use blocks for Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, particularly when I can find two of them that match. I don't know where my other nice wood block is, so I'm going to change out and do purple blocks. All right, so I have bricks, and the other thing that I have with my bricks is I actually also turn my bricks out a little bit so that they actually are making a V shape. So you can do them with your bit straight, okay? But I actually like to turn my palms out a little bit and my bricks out a little bit too, so they make a V shape. All right, so now you're gonna come down onto the floor. Don't have to use the bricks. If you have long arms, the bricks are probably counterproductive. I have my hands up on my bricks, turn my feet under, do all of my backward bending actions, and then I push up, and I have my toes turned under it. Toes turned under at first because it's a little bit easier to do. And you know what? This is a fantastic feeling, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Then I'm going to come forward onto the tops of my feet and see if I can arch my back just a little bit more. And then come down and rest, and we'll do that one more time like we've been doing with the other belly down back bends. So come down onto your abdomen, turn your thighs. I'm going to start off in the chaturanga foot position. Before I even push up though, I get my shoulders back. I get my shoulder blades in. I draw my abdomen in, and then I push up, and I'm still on the tops of my toes turned under. And I bring my arms as much as I can, chest through my arms. Then I go into the top of the foot position, slide a little bit more through, try and arch a little bit more back, and then go ahead and come down and rest on the floor. All right. And then watch again for a second. So that's all the belly down back bends with your hands in the front of the plain body. There are also a set of belly down back bends where your arms are back behind you, okay? So the first one we'll do is Shalavasana, where your arms are just back behind you and the palms, right, are going up toward the ceiling. You'll really work to extend through the ring fingers and the thumbs. So just do it standing first. So you're standing in Tadasana. Start off in regular Tadasana with your palms facing each other. Then just even in Tadasana now, move your arms way, way, way back behind you. And then turn your palms so that they face toward the wall behind you. And as you do that, you should feel your shoulder blades come more onto your back. Then just go ahead and come up onto your toes. Because that's like pointing your feet. Right. So that's Shalavasana, which we'll do standing. I'm sorry, we'll do it one more time standing. So start off in Tadasana. Feel the openness in the chest. Now roll your shoulder blades, bones back and shoulder blades in as you move your arms way, way back behind you. Draw your abdomen in a little bit so you're not poking your rib cage forward. Okay. Then turn your arms or your shoulders in the socket so that you really feel the shoulder blades move in more, and you'll feel your palms turn also up toward the ceiling, okay? So we're gonna do those two hand positions laying down on the floor. So everyone lie down on your belly. Turn your legs, get your leg actions going. Lift up with your torso. Reach your arms back behind you first with your palms facing toward each other and lift your legs up. And then turn your palms up toward the ceiling and see how that increases your backward bend. And then lower your head down to the floor and rest. All right, one more time because we've been doing all of these twice. Make sure your legs are still turning in. Get your leg actions going before you even lift your legs up. Okay. Then lift your legs up, roll your shoulders back, and lift up through your chest. Extend through the ring fingers. Have your palms facing each other first. Then as you turn your palms to face toward the ceiling, observe how that increases the backward bend. And then place your hands down on the floor. And then just go ahead and push yourself into downward facing dog. And observe how this downward facing dog feels compared to all of the other downward facing dogs that we've done. You should feel a lot more openness in your chest, a lot more openness in the side ribs and the armpits. Then walk forward till your feet are right underneath your hips. Place your hands on your pelvic bones. Roll your shoulder bones back. Come all the way up and stand in Tadasana. All right, the next kind of, let's say, thing to add in the belly down back bend story is the belly down back bends that work with the bent leg. Okay, so all of the ones that we've done so far today have worked with straight leg actions. Okay. But there's a big component of back bending where you work with the leg bend. Okay. So go ahead and just, you can stay where you are. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see a little bit better. Okay. I'm actually holding onto the wall, but you're going to bend your leg and get hold of your ankle. Okay. Now, we've been talking about the thumb a lot. Okay. So the tendency is to hold the thumb away from the fingers, but instead put your thumb alongside your fingers and just observe, just changing that thumb position, you should feel something a little bit different happening in the shoulders. Now, right now my leg is staying where it is because I'm holding it, but I want to also make sure that I can let go and engage those hamstrings and buttock muscles, because that's the action that you really need to do Dhanurasana. Sometimes you get a little cramp when you do that, and that means the muscles are engaging. Okay, so let's do that same leg one more time, bring it down to the floor. Okay. So this time when you bend your leg up, go ahead and proactively engage that hamstring and buttock connection. Okay. So that instead of grabbing with your foot grabbing your hand right away, you can actually hold the leg up on its own. Then get your outer ankle with your hand and your thumb. And in Dhanurasana, you actually lift the leg up, right, and kick the foot into the hand, but you also pull the foot back with the hand, okay, so that the foot and the hand work together. All right. Let's do the second side, still while you're standing up. Okay. So bend your leg up. And don't reach for your foot right away, because if you don't reach for your foot right away, you have to engage the hamstring muscles and the buttock muscle to keep the leg bent and up. Then I'm going to add my hand. And there's a tendency when I add my hand to let the hand do all of the work and lose the hamstring and the buttock action. So I'm going to re-engage the hamstring and the buttock action, okay, and have my hand. I make sure that my thumb is alongside my other fingers. Okay. Now in Dhanurasana, you lift the leg off the floor, okay, by using the hamstrings and the buttock muscles. The foot does kick into the hand, but the hand also pulls the foot up toward the ceiling. Okay, so those are the actions of the leg. Yeah. So now we're going to lie down on the floor and do that pose twice also. All right, so you're going to come onto the floor and bring your both legs up, and don't reach for your feet right away. Okay? Instead, my arms are actually in chaturanga. So when I have my feet close like this, without my hands, I have to engage the hamstrings and the buttocks. Push your pelvis down into the floor a little bit, then reach back and get your hands. Get your feet with your hands. Put your thumb on the same side of the foot as your fingers are. Make sure you are still engaging through the hamstrings and the buttocks. All right, now you're going to lift the thighs off the floor by engaging the hamstrings and the buttocks more and lifting up with the hand. Now kick your feet into your hands and you'll feel your chest lift. Now pull up with your hands and bring the legs along with that action. And then come down and rest for a second or two. You can either keep your head on your hands or you can turn your head to one side or the other. All right, so one more time. Keep your hands in chaturanga position. Bend your legs up, try and bend them at the same time. When I did that, I felt my pelvis tilt away from the floor a little bit, so I'm going to push it down into the floor as I engage my hamstrings and buttocks. Okay. So the legs are already doing their work before I reach back and get my feet. If you you can't reach your feet, you can put a strap around your feet. Now I noticed when I added my hands, my legs said, oh, thank you, I don't have to do so much work, but they actually still have to do the same work. So engage your hamstrings and your buttock muscles again and move your pelvis down to the floor. Now lift your thighs up off of the floor as much as you can. Kick your feet back into your hands and you'll feel your thoracic spine open more. Now lift your feet up with your hands. Kick back, lift up. Kick back, lift up. One more time, kick back, lift up. Lower yourself down. Put your hands on the floor. And after, just like we do after each of those belly down back bends, come into downward facing dog so you can observe the effect of the downward facing dog. Sorry, so you can observe the effect of the action on the downward facing dog. I feel that my palms are more rooted in the floor. I feel more and more extension through the side armpits. I feel my rib cage is back. I feel that there's more weight coming into the leg without me doing anything at all. But I know that if I do a little bit more with the legs, it'll get even better. So again, come up like you're doing chaturanga feet. Observe how that engages the quadriceps more. Roll over the balls of the feet and reach through your arches and your heel all the way down to the floor. And my head now is coming down to the floor. And neck is just releasing nicely. And walk forward till your feet are right underneath your hips. Wow, I could really feel that my hamstrings were working in those back bends. Roll the shoulders back and come all the way up. All right, so the last of the belly down back bends is Parsvadanyasana. So you're gonna come back into Dhanurasana, you're gonna rock over to the right, kick back up, come to the center, rock over to the left, and we'll do that twice and rest, and then we'll do it 2 more times and rest and push back into downward facing dog, okay? All right, so grand finale of the back bend today. Lie down on the floor. You really might want a little padding for this one because you're rolling and rocking onto the side of your shoulder. For me, this feels fantastic on the shoulders, but if it is too much on anyone's shoulder, you can just repeat Dhanurasana and not go to the side. Okay. But I really like how the floor pushes my shoulder bone in for me. Okay, ready? Lie down on the floor. Turn your toes under. Have your hands in chaturanga first. Bend your legs up first, so your hamstrings and your buttocks really engage. Keeping your hamstrings and buttocks engaged, reach back and get your feet with your hands. Then, make sure your hamstrings and buttocks are engaged. Lift your legs up, take your feet back and up. Now you're gonna go to the left. So that means you have to pull more with your right foot against your right hand to tip yourself over. Now to come back up, kind of push more with your left leg into your right leg and come up. Do a good Dhanurasana. Go to the other side, kick more with your left leg as you tip over to the right. Turn your head up to the ceiling to release the neck. Kick back up. I said we'd do it twice, but we're just gonna stop and rest and then we'll do it 1 more time. Okay, so regroup. Then place your hands in chaturanga. Not just your hands, but you can do all of your chaturanga chest positions. Move your legs, bend your legs so that your ankles are right by your heels. Feel how those hamstrings and buttocks release and pull your, engage and move your pelvis to the floor. Maintaining your hamstrings and your buttock action, swing back with your hands and get your hands on your outer ankles. The tendency is, I notice it myself, that once my hands are working and my arms are working, my legs kind of slacked off. So I say hamstrings and buttocks, re-engage. Then kick your feet, thighs up, feet back, lift your legs up. Now to go to the, we'll go to the right first. So to go to the right, you actually have to kick more and lift up more with your left to turn to the right. You can turn your head up toward the ceiling and you'll feel the neck release and the thoracic go in. To come up, kind of push your bottom leg against your top leg. Now to go to the left, you have to kick more to the right and go over to the side and turn your head and look up. And then come back to the center. Come down. Place your hands on the floor. And come back. And one more downward facing dog. I can really feel that my hamstrings were doing their work. And as a result, my heels are really pretty firmly grounded on the floor already. But it doesn't mean I can't do more. So I'm going to come up in a chaturanga the legs, push through the ball of the foot, roll over the ball of the feet and reach the arches back and extend through the heels. Push your hands down and forward, and maybe your head will go to the floor. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. It's just an extension of the pose. It's not, it's not something you want to force. Then walk forward till your feet are right underneath your hips. Place your hands on your pelvic bones. Roll your shoulder bones back, and come all the way up. And then again, stand in Tadasana. And observe the effect of the work on your Tadasana. Okay, now it's time for that shoulder work. And we'll do Chatuspadasana. But before we do that, we're actually going to do a couple of twists. All right, so if you have a chair, get your chair. It doesn't have to have a back out of the chair. You're just going to sit on the side of the chair. If you don't have the chair, just sit in Virasana on your brick. Have another brick behind you and you can turn in Virasana. Another funny thing that David Maloney said, he's Italian. I mean, he has very good English, but he just says things kind of differently. He calls this part of the chair the handle of the chair, okay? Just like it's a handle of the suitcase, right? And I always think of it as the back of the chair, but it's actually a nice little word, right? Handle. Okay, so you're gonna sit on the edge of the chair. Be nice and upright in your chest and bring your hands around to either side of the handle of the chair if you have a chair handle. Press down into the feet and lengthen up through your side ribs. And then as you exhale, turn and rotate yourself around. It should feel like it's a really nice release on your back. Press down into the feet, lift up through the side ribs and the armpits, and then pull and push on the chair and keep your elbows a little bit wide. One more time, inhale, lift up. Exhale, turn and rotate and keep your elbows a little bit wide. On the third turn, you can go ahead and turn your head, turn a little bit more, and then come back to the center. And then we're going to turn and do the other side. If you're doing Virasana, you don't have to turn and move your chair, you just stay in Virasana. Okay, so Tadasana in the chest. Tadasana in the top chest, Chaturanga in your shoulder blades, bring your arms around. Press down into the feet and lift up from the tailbone through the head. Level your shoulders, keep your elbows a little bit wide as you turn. And I'm looking straight toward you, and so I don't have my head in the game yet. I mean, I do. And then lift up, turn. Now after you've done 2 turns, go ahead and turn your head. Then turn a little bit more. And then come back to the center. If you're in Virasana and you don't have a chair, stretch your legs out into Dandasana. And then you'll do Parsvadandasana. If Parsvadandasana, you're just in Dandasana and you'll turn to the other side. If you do have your chair, you're going to sit with your legs bent on the front of the chair. And then reach one hand back to the side of your chair, your other hand to your outer knee, and you're going to turn and rotate to your left. So inhale, extend up from the tailbone through the head, and then as you exhale, turn and rotate. Keep your head kind of level with your spine. You can even keep it looking forward. Extend up from the tailbone through the head, and then exhale, turn, and go ahead and let your head turn. And then push a little bit more with your hand against your leg and see if you can get a little bit more turn. The idea of keeping the head from turning initially is sometimes if we just turn, like if there was a loud noise over there, you turn your head, but you're only turning the head, you're not really turning the torso. The neck moves quickly, and so if we do the head first, we never really get a chance to really get the turn of the torso. So when I do the second side and I extend up and I keep my head forward first, and this one it's a little harder to do, okay? But then I can really get the rib cage in the game and the spine extended. And then the second time around, I'm going to turn my head a little bit, but I'm going to make sure that I keep it really in line with the spine and I don't overturn it. Now, after the third turn, then I'm going to turn my head, and there's more room for the head to turn. Then once my head's turned, having created space, then I can push and pull with my hand and get even a little bit more turn. All right, and then come all the way back to the center. We can do the first arm work, just going ahead, sitting in the chair. Well, actually, go ahead and stand up. It works a little bit better. Okay, so you're going to stand up, interlace your fingers, pull your fingers against each other. Then you're going to join your palms completely. Right? Push the thumbs against each other with the fingers and cross the finger. Now, keeping your upper arms turned like we've done all class, try to keep your elbows straight. Just turn your thumbs a little bit, okay? And then release. Switch the grip of your fingers. Pull your thumbs against each other and extend through your knuckles first. Then, keeping your arms straight, join your palms together, cross the thumbs. Now really push the thumb base joint and grip with your fingers. Keeping your upper arms turned in the way that they are, turn your thumbs down a little bit. All right, now do that same thing behind your back. All right, so behind your back, move your knuckles away from you, pull your fingers against each other and feel that thoracic spine move in. Ideally, you would keep your arms straight as you join your palms. I have to bend them, but once I've got my palms together, then I straighten my arms, squeeze my palms together, keeping my arms as straight as I can, just a little bit, I turn the thumbs away from the chest. And as I do that, I reach back more so I really feel that thoracic spine move in. And notice which finger's on top. Switch the grip of your fingers. Pull your arms back with your hands apart first. Then see if you can keep your arms straight and join your palms. I can't, but once my palms are joined, then I straighten my arms and pull back. Then a little bit, I turn my thumbs away from my back and feel the effect on the thoracic spine. Okay. Do those hand positions in Chaturanga Dandasana, and then we'll go into legs up the wall pose. Okay? So lie down on the floor in Chaturanga Dandasana. I'll do it with you and talk you through it, but in Chaturanga Dandasana, you really shouldn't turn your head to look at the screen, okay? All right, so lie down on the floor. Sorry, I said Chaturanga Dandasana. I meant Chatushpadasana. Sorry. Maybe I actually got too much sleep last night. All right, so bend your knees up and lift your buttocks up high. You'll feel your hamstrings and your buttocks engage, right? Just like we worked on very extensively in Dhanurasana. Okay. Now tuck your shoulders underneath you and interlace your fingers. And move your knuckles toward your calves. Yeah. But you also move onto the heels, engage your buttocks more, and you're actually going to push your chest a little bit toward your chin. Tuck your shoulders a little bit more. Now, if you could, keep your arms straight and join your palms, great. I have to bend them a little bit to get them engaged. But once my palms are engaged or put together, I tuck under more, make sure my arms are straight, push that whole arm down, move the knuckles toward the calves, and then I move my chest toward my chin as I take my thoracic in. Then keeping the upper arms going up toward the ceiling, just a little bit, turn the palms. As you do that, feel how the thoracic spine moves in. Release your hands and lower yourself all the way down and feel all that nice vitality in the chest. Hopefully you remembered which finger is on top, but if you didn't, it doesn't really matter, just do it again. All right, so start with your feet like we did in Dhanurasana. Press your feet down and lift your buttocks up high. Check and make sure, are your hamstrings and your buttocks engaged? Interlace your fingers first. Move your fingers toward your calves and also move into the heels a little bit more so the weight comes, the chest opens a little bit more. Pull your fingers against each other. Push your upper arms down into the floor. If you can join your palms without bending the elbows, great. Do so. Tuck your shoulders more. Pull your knuckles toward your calves and move the weight more into the heels so you feel your chest open more. Keeping your upper arms turning toward the ceiling, move the thumbs down toward the floor a little bit and feel how that opens the thoracic spine more. And then release your arms. Feel that nice vitality in the chest. And then go ahead and switch to legs up the wall pose. Okay, so we've got 5 minutes left of class. So we'll do about 3 minutes of downward face of legs up the wall pose and 2 minutes of Shavasana. If you don't want to do legs up the wall pose, you don't have to, you could just stay in Shavasana. Let your eyes release into the back of your head. Let your tongue release away from the roof of your mouth. And clench the jaw. Let the back of the throat release. Let the sides of the throat release. Let the base of your throat release. Let your ears draw inward. Completely relax the features of your face. Become quiet within. We did lots and lots of backward bending work today. So feel that vitality in the chest. But I also find, usually after backward bending, I actually find that the energy that I used to do the back bends actually helps my mind draw inward. It's kind of just like at the very beginning of class when we have that inner spaciousness with just by using the inhalation, acts like a magnet of the mind. That's really the beginning seed of backward bending work. And so back bends created even more inner spaciousness. And so there's even more of that inner vitality that draws the mind to it. And so the inward turning or the involution of consciousness after backward bending is really usually quite profound. And keeping this inwardness as much as you can, just push yourself away from the wall, turn around and come into Shavasana. Let your eyes release into the back of your head. Let your tongue release away from the roof of your mouth. Unclench your jaw. Let the back of the throat release. Let the sides of the throat release. Let the base of the throat release. Let your ears draw inward. Completely relax the features of your face. Become quiet within. Patanjali tells us that yoga is the practice of stilling the fluctuations of the mind. He goes on to say, when that happens, we come to dwell in the seat of our own true splendor. Be in that space. Abide there. Now, from that seat of your true splendor, inhale. Consciously use your inhalations to bring that awareness of your true self with you as you go about your work in the world. Place your hands on your rib cage. Bend your knees. Roll over to your right side. And use your hands to push yourself back up. Sit up straight and tall. Lift your chest well. Close your eyes. Fold your palms together at your heart. In gratitude to the benefit you receive from your practice of yoga, in gratitude to the people of the opportunity to learn and study and practice yoga with, and in gratitude to the lineage of Hatha Yoga itself, as practiced by BKS Iyengar, reaching back to the sages of India, and down through a line of teachers and students to you, here on the mat in Austin, Texas, or wherever you'll happen to be in the world, through the miracle of Zoom. Namaste. I'm going to unmute everyone so you can say hello and goodbye to each other. It's good to see everyone. Sorry about all that weird camera thing. I think I must have. I still can't quite figure out what's going on, but I'm just going to re-straighten my room. But
thank you very much, Anne. It was wonderful.
Good. I'm glad you liked it. So everyone looks happy. Backward bends. So.
All right. Thank
Bye.
you so much, Anne.
Good to see
Bye.
you. Bye.
That was a great class. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. See you. I'm subbing on Monday for Cheryl, so at 9:30. So I might see some of you before Saturday, but I'll see you next Saturday. So
right. This Monday at 9:30?
Yeah, like 2 days from now. Yeah.
Perfect.
So, okay. Take care, everyone. Bye.